I'm Art Napolitano, and it's my privilege to be sitting here with Dr. Colin Robertson, who is the Chief Product Officer for Zinzino. In fact, when I was looking at the Zinzino opportunity, trying to determine if this was the next big thing in direct selling, we really analyzed the science, and I saw his video called Why Test-Based Nutrition. Now that video is available, you may have already seen it, but that got me really excited that Zinzino was different. So, Dr. Colin Robertson, thank you being here. Why is Zinzino different?
That's a great question. No, thanks, Art. Thanks for taking this time to chat. Why is Zinzino different? I think it's because primarily, a lot of people will say this, but at the very heart of what Zinzino does, it is informed and led by the research. It's led by evidence. So rather than create a problem and then provide the solution, Zinzino's approach, and way before I arrived, was to genuinely take a look at the world and say, well, what are the problems? And what does the research say we can do about that in a legitimate capacity? So how can we address 21st century problems that relate to health, but specifically in the context of nutrition, and what can we do about it? And so I think what sets it apart is that's the essence of everything we do. So at no point does it lend itself to a kind of Me Too approach. It's always focused on what is the real world scenario, what's the real world problem, and what does the research, what does the science say we can do about it? And so for me, really, I guess in answer to that and a short version of the video, why Zinzino? Because it resonated with everything that I've spent my time doing across every aspect of sport, clinical health, research that I've been involved in. It's always been about what does the evidence say? What does the research say? What can we measure accurately? And then what can we do about it? What can we do differently? And what can we do better?
I remember on the video you said, in science, if we can't test and measure it, we say, did it really happen?
Yeah. And I know some people don't like me when I make those comments, but if you purely look at it through a scientific point of view, we have to be objective. And we have to say, can we quantify this? Is it a real thing? I'm very anti-mythology when it comes to health.
Well, when you first Google you research you read your books, you have an incredible history with athletics and training some of the world's best athletes. You've worked, I guess, with Premier League clubs. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah. I mean, I've spent a fair few summers working in sport now. I'm 30 years in to working in high-performance sport, clinical, public health. And so across that time, I've worked on 4 Olympic pathways, so trained and supported athletes for Beijing, London, Rio, Tokyo, and in different ways. So I'm a nutritionist, I'm a strength and conditioning coach, I'm an exercise physiologist. We've done things where we've literally built the pathway for them to travel. What you got to imagine is that if you take athletes from the UK and they're going to go and take part in Olympics that are in Beijing, we've got multiple time zones to consider, we've got altered patterns, and we have to adjust the athletes for that. So everything from that all the way through to choosing what food they're going to have for a snack. Worked in Premiership football, the likes of, shouldn't name them really, it's a long time ago. Man United, Liverpool, Everton, they're probably the highline ones. England football team, and in different levels. Actually worked with the England women's team. I've worked with the England's, they have a under-18s team. I've also worked with the national team. Worked in international rugby, very proudly representing Ireland. I've worked in national rugby, and particularly across Super League. So yeah, I'm an environmental physiologist. So I've trained people to climb Everest, row across the Atlantic, race across the Sahara Desert. Crazy things that men actually your age decide they're going to do. Trek to the North Pole. I'm working with people at the moment who are living in Antarctica, swimming the Gibraltar Straits. When it comes to taking on an environment that is very likely to try and kill you, they normally get people like me involved.
That's incredible. And you say people like my age. I think he's referring to I might be a little older.
Well, you see, what happens, Artie, is that you go, right then, I've achieved so much in life. Now I want to stand on top of the highest mountain in the world, because that bucket list just keeps getting deeper. And then you go, actually, that looks a bit of an undertaking.
Yes.
So then you go through and you go, who's who's been mad enough to train people to do this before? And then you see my name.
Well, what's interesting is your video and, you know, the whole science team at Zinzino and the test-based concept has allowed me to put together some people that have incredible resumes, people that would never do direct selling. And they're getting involved as partners with me. And there's such a long list. I shared some of the names with you. And one of the guys that just joined, you know, while we're talking athletics, he just turned 84. He's Dr. Joe Maroon. The film Concussion was actually about him and the research. And I was just reading his resume, and he's doing triathlons at 84 years old, which is incredible. And he showed me a picture as he's sitting there with the Zinzino Ultimate Pack.
Yeah, good
so
man.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, I can, and I love those people because, you know, so much of what's around us in society keeps telling us that we should do less. And I love those people because they prove it all wrong. But more importantly, to the point you're making there, and I want to emphasize this, I take the responsibility over gatekeeper for science really, really seriously. There has to be at the very heart of everything we do, genuine authenticity and credibility. We have a dynamic and phenomenal team that we work with in-house. We have an incredible scientific advisory board. And then we've got people that, you know, the likes of which you're talking to, who are gravitating towards us. And not only them, but I think of every single person at home who has taken one of our products. And for me, I am the gatekeeper. I'm the person who's making sure it's legitimate, it's the real thing, and that everything we say we do, we actually do, and that the science aligns to it accordingly. So I take that really, really seriously. But then, when you get the magic touches, the 84-year-olds who are hitting up the triathlon, who are living life to the fullest for the longest possible, that's what we should all aspire to. Yes. Artie, that's what we should all be working towards. We should all want to be that person that everyone in our town, our community village says, look at that lunatic. They're 80 and they're still running around the streets and going off cycling and swimming in the lake. That should be the goal for all of us.
Well, Zinzino's catchphrase, right, is inspire change.
Inspire change in life.
And even in your book, you know, you said, you know, one book, there's been so many good books, why hasn't it changed everybody? And it's true, right? You can read good information, but it's applied.
That's right.
And what I like about the Zinzino community for everybody involved, and led by yourself and the leaders in Zinzino's management and the field leadership, is we want to inspire people to change. We're in London today. We just had a leadership school, and hearing you talk and everybody in that room, we were inspired to make some changes. Now, it's great that you trained all these super athletes, and I would imagine they still take BalanceOil and maybe other products, but how about the regular guy?
It's more important. It's more important for the regular person. Sport's incredible. Sport has given me a unique life. My one aim in life was to live a passionate, adventurous, and weird life. And that was what I wanted. And sport gave me all of that. It really did. But you got to bear in mind, it's largely entertainment. It occupies a certain part of a person's life. It's their career. Sport careers are short. Health is forever. And we should all be working towards aligning our health span with our lifespan, being healthy for as long as we possibly can. And all of these things, the reason I went to sport, Artie, was I took the approach that if I wanted to understand the meaning of life, if I wanted to understand humans, I would find out more by looking at that at the upper limit. I'd take a close look at what we're all truly capable of, and then bring that down to the people who matter most, which is everybody living a normal life. And that's what I've done. And so when you look at something like BalanceOil, when you start to look at things like Xenobiotic and Extend and these things that equip people to have a better nutritional plan for life, it benefits sport. So if it works at that top end, if it's the premium fuel to put in the best possible race car in the world, then I want it in my saloon that I drop the kids off at school in.
Well, I have to say, it's an honor that you're spending some extra time with me here today to talk to our audience. And for those that know me, and I've been doing seminars around the world in many continents, and I tell my story. I was a striving rock musician, wanted to be a rock star, had some success, but woke up broke at 29. But the truth is, we have a real rock star sitting right here. Colin, Dr. Colin, you are absolutely a rock star with Zinzino, and I really want to just thank you for this time.
No,
You're
thank
awesome.
you. Thank you,
Great to be in
Thank you
business
very
with.
much.
Great to have
Thank
you
very
as a
much.
friend
Thank
as
you.
well.
Thank
So
you. Thank you so much. Thank you.